You ever have someone show you that they shouldn't be allowed to do the thing they want to do? For instance, your kid wants to borrow your car, but they refuse to put their bike away. So their bicycle is sitting out on the driveway. Hey, Dad, can I borrow the car? No. Why? Because you don't take care of the vehicle you do have, which is yours. Your bike is laying in the driveway. What does that have to do with anything? You're showing me how you treat things. So no, you can't borrow the car. You could take this to a personal level. I remember a time a friend of mine wanted to date a girl at this radio station, and he was talking to us about this and said, no, I think she could be the one. And some of my friends said, no, like 3 of my friends said, yeah, no, she's fantastic. What do you mean? No, she's great. She's a ton of fun. Wait, you've dated her? Well, not really dated, slept with. All 3 of you? Well, at the same time. I thought she was the one. No, she's just someone in a lot of trouble who's very confused. So she may not be the one. She was showing people she was hurting, but she was also seeking a husband by going around these activities. She was showing people, I'm not ready to be married. Very sad. So sometimes people will show you that you shouldn't give them the thing that they want you to give them, even if your heart is in it. Now, there's a guy named Mike Rogers, and apparently, for whatever reason, as we sit down to record this, he's actually being considered to be the FBI director. This can't happen because he fully admits it should not happen. I'll show you this in a second. There are things that shouldn't happen to you, and yet they do. I didn't want to hear the sound I heard with all of a little tiny 265 pounds on a bench press. I didn't want to hear that on the second set of 5. I didn't want to hear a ripping sound. I remember before I sat down on the bench press, the first set kind of hurt my left shoulder, and I was rubbing it a little bit and taking my lacrosse ball. My very, very skilled, very, very good, very expert CrossFit coach said, yeah, just roll it out. It's been a while since we bench pressed, and it had. Then I think 3rd or 4th rep, and for whatever reason, I decided to have my friend Boris spot me. Like, I didn't really need it, but I did then. The ripping sound was if 2 wet towels were ripped in my ear. And it was so loud that Boris heard it. He heard my shoulder rip. And that was my first rotator cuff tear, 3 out of 3. I didn't know about Renew.Healthcare at that time. Now, frankly, they couldn't have helped me avoid surgery. My shoulder was so far gone at that point, there's nothing they could have done. But when I checked out my other shoulder, because I had a preventative MRI, and I found out that eventually I'm going to have surgery there as well, well, I did know about Renew. Let me give you the comparison. Same surgery, same cutting, same trauma. My left shoulder without Renew.Healthcare took me 48 weeks before I could do a push-up or a pull-up. 48 weeks. With my right shoulder, it was 12 weeks. And in all likelihood, I probably could have done a pull-up and a push-up at about week 9, but chose not to. The major difference was Renew.Healthcare. These stem cells are packed with building power. They only come from placentas and umbilical cords, and only after Renew tracks the health of the mother and the baby, and they do that while they pay for the birthing process. That's how they get access to these miraculous cells. They then culture the cells. I got 42 million in my right shoulder live stem cells. Understand the difference. In America, they basically kill the stem cells before they put them in your body if you can even get placental or umbilical cord stem cells. Usually they use your own 57-year-old stem cells. If you are headed for surgery, they might be able to help you avoid it. My friend Boris, who was spotting me, his shoulder was so screwed up he couldn't swim, and that's his sport. He was back swimming about 3 weeks after he got his injection. There are professional golfers down there all the time because their lower backs take a beating. You might not need surgery. If you've had it, you can recover more quickly. Go to Renew.Healthcare. It's Renue.Healthcare. Healthcare, please do tell them that you're a member of the Todd Herman Show family, and they will tell you if they can help you. It's renew.healthcare. Sometimes people demonstrate to you that they cannot be trusted to have the thing that they deeply want to have. For whatever reason, Mike Rogers is being considered to help lead or to lead the FBI under President Trump. This cannot happen, as Mike Rogers himself admits right here.
And I credit George Bush and his administration for assembling this new intelligence community. They passed the Patriot bill that allows and takes the handcuffs off our intelligence services. Policymakers back here use words like illegal wiretap.
The domestic surveillance program of the NSA, it could be abused.
We're already seeing pressure on the Patriot Act that maybe we don't need it now. Couldn't be further from the truth. The bulk telephone metadata program is legal and effective. Provisions of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act expire at the end of this month. We need to rapidly reauthorize these provisions, and we need to work toward making these tools permanent as a part of our arsenal. Self-restriction, big problem in U.S. intelligence collection. We're the only intelligence service in the world that is forced to go to a court. But we always joked in the intelligence space, we would love to get 1/10 of what Google has on you.
I supported these programs when they were classified, and I support these programs today.
Justin Amash put that up. Amash is a libertarian and not someone I'm deeply, deeply affectionate for. But it's a good ad. Mike Rogers, we're the only country where you need to go to court. The intelligence services need to go to court. Praise God! When you've had the intelligence services spying on lawmakers, you don't have an intelligence service. You have a separate arm of government. You have an extortion machine. The FISA court is the most powerful court in the United States of America, in my judgment. Oh, you thought it was the Supreme Court? Oh, well, wait a minute. Let's think about this. The Supreme Court has to actually sit and have hearings. People actually get to watch it with their own eyes and analyze it. The FISA court operates in private, in secret, and when they're lied to by the intelligence services, the FISA court takes a junior lawyer and slaps him on the wrist. Mike Rogers may well believe he's the good guy, and maybe he is a good guy. But we live in a Republican form of democracy, and it is supposed to be hard to spy on us because we are actually the bosses. You work for us is a cliche, but it's also very true. One of the most important hat tricks that the government has ever pulled is the sneaky little process by which they have turned the corner and suddenly we work for them. Not just with our money. A lot of us work 6 months out of the year to pay a tax bill. I finally got my letter from the IRS saying, hey, you haven't filed taxes. That's right. I was waiting for the election outcome. If you'd stolen the election, I wasn't going to file. So when Mike Rogers makes the case for more and more and more surveillance that is unfettered, he's going from you work for us into a far more dangerous mode, which is you should fear us because we're looking at everything. Well, if you don't have anything to hide, that's not a predicate in a free society. It's you guys who are choosing to hide. And we can test this theory very, very easily. Let us spy on you. Pretty simple. Let's install cameras in your home, cameras in your office, and a microphone you wear all the time. And let us watch you. Or how about this? What would happen if we decided to publicly publish your address? What would happen to us? I know what would happen, and you do too. It's a very simple test. It's called the you go first thing. Want to surveil us? You go first.